What if I told you that America just lost a $1.2 billion agricultural stronghold, not to China, not to Europe, but to Mexico? And what if I told you Canada, our closest ally and trading partner, just rejected over 150,000 tons of U.S. beef, almost overnight? This isn't just a diplomatic dispute. It's a massive shift in global trade, one that directly affects your dinner plate, your wallet, and the future of millions of American farmers. Two neighbors, once deeply linked to the U.S. in trade, are now rebuilding the agricultural map without America. This is the full story of how it happened, why it matters, and what it means for the future of American food security. Tariffs triggered the first domino. In July 2025, while Americans were still grappling with high food prices and supply chain disruptions, a new move from Washington sent shockwaves across North America. The administration imposed a 35% tariff on Canadian agricultural imports, including beef, dairy, and grain, citing the need to protect American farmers. The move played well in headlines, but not in the fields. While some cheered this as a bold defense of domestic industry, farmers and ranchers in the Midwest quietly panicked. The Canadian market was crucial. The risk of retaliation? Imminent. And Canada didn't wait long. In less than a week, Canadian lawmakers passed Bill C-202, empowering the government to block imports from any country deemed a threat to food security. They didn't need to name the U.S. The message was clear. Soon after, Canada rejected 150,000 plus tons of U.S. beef, canceling long-standing contracts. Shipments that had already left Texas, Nebraska, and Kansas were suddenly stranded in cold storage. Processing plants halted, trucks stopped, workers were sent home. And all of this happened while supermarket prices for beef kept climbing. Consumers were left wondering, if Canada won't take our beef, should we? Canada's quiet rebellion. This wasn't a tantrum. It was a strategic shift, decades in the making. Canadian farmer coalitions have long warned that relying on American markets left them vulnerable to political unpredictability. Now, with Bill C-202, Canada wasn't just responding to tariffs. It was asserting independence. Instead of waiting for Washington's next move, Canada began reshaping its supply chain, choosing new partners, ones it viewed as more stable, less politically volatile. Enter Mexico, America's replacement. Just a few years ago, the idea that Mexico would replace the U.S. as Canada's beef supplier might have sounded laughable. Not anymore. In the wake of the rejection, Mexico quietly stepped in, filling the void almost seamlessly. While American producers scrambled to salvage relationships, Mexico launched a coordinated campaign, offering Canada beef that was not only competitively priced, but packaged with unprecedented transparency, sanitation reports, slaughter timelines, quality codes, and origin verification. Within weeks, Mexico locked down long-term beef contracts that used to belong to American farmers. It was a quiet coup, and most Americans didn't even notice until it was too late. America's food chain starts cracking. For everyday consumers, this may have seemed like just another trade dispute, but on the ground, in Kansas, Nebraska, Texas, the impact has been brutal. Farms are sitting on meat no one wants. Cold storage costs are soaring, and ranchers are forced to choose between selling at a loss or letting their inventory rot. Processing plants have slashed hours. Truck drivers are parked with no payload. Rural towns are losing jobs, losing hope, and losing the markets they relied on. Meanwhile, grocery store prices keep rising. Ground beef has crossed $6 per pound, a record high since the 1950s. Steaks are hitting $11. For a working family earning $2,500 a month, beef has become a luxury item. And that's not the worst part. The public's trust in U.S. beef is starting to erode. If Canada doesn't want it, why should we? Is U.S. beef still safe? As prices soar, an unsettling question bubbles beneath the surface. Is something wrong with American beef? The industry insists U.S. meat meets all safety standards. But memory is stubborn. People recall Europe's ban on U.S. beef in the 1980s due to concerns over growth hormones like trenbolone and zeranol, substances still controversial today. When major allies reject American products, perception often matters more than fact. Trust, once cracked, is hard to fix. Meanwhile, SNAP shrinks and kids go hungry. The timing couldn't be worse. As prices rise, nutrition assistance is being slashed. The federal SNAP program, which supports over 42 million Americans, is facing $300 billion in cuts over the next decade. That means millions of families will turn to cheaper, less nutritious food: instant noodles, white bread, canned goods. Public schools are cutting meals. Rural hospitals report protein shortages for seniors and children. The beef may be in the supermarket cooler, but for many, it might as well be gold bars. This is bigger than beef. It's the beginning of a new global trade order. Canada's rejection wasn't isolated. It's part of a larger global realignment. As nations move away from dependence on U.S. agriculture, China has resumed full-scale agricultural trade with Canada: meat, dairy, soy, through new sanitary agreements. Russia is strengthening its Eurasian rail logistics, with Canada preparing to piggyback via intermediaries. Brazil, a global food giant, has doubled its beef exports to Canada in just 1 year. Even the European Union, with its strict hormone-free rules, now sees Canada as a cleaner, more compliant alternative. Canada's Port of Vancouver is being upgraded to boost exports to non-U.S. markets by 70%. This wasn't a reaction. It was a calculated retreat from America's influence. What can America do? 3 paths forward. So what now? Can America reclaim its place in global agriculture? Or is this the start of long-term decline? There are 3 possible futures. 1. Double down on protectionism. Stay the course with tariffs. Keep pushing for local-first policies. This protects farmers, in theory, but risks making U.S. goods less competitive and more expensive. 2. Rebuild regional partnerships. Reopen negotiations with Canada, Mexico, and Latin America. Rebuild trust. Reestablish supply chains. But trust lost is not easily regained. 3. Look east, a bold pivot to Asia. The administration has hinted at plans to boost exports to Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia and Vietnam. These are high-demand markets with growing populations, but they also come with risk, distance, and different standards. The bigger question is, will we be welcomed? The world moves on. Will America catch up? Canada's rejection of 150,000 tons of U.S. beef wasn't just about meat. It was about trust, reliability, and the future of who feeds the world. In 2025, the old rules are breaking down. America is no longer the uncontested center of agricultural trade. Neighbors are finding new friends, partners are becoming competitors, and global trust is shifting away from Washington. So now we ask, will America adapt or be left behind? Will farmers keep fighting alone, or will someone finally stand up for them? If you care about food, farms, and the future of America, drop a comment, like, and subscribe to RM Vision BD. We break the stories others ignore, and what's coming next might be even bigger. Because this isn't just about beef. It's about survival.